Hi, I'm Donna Sandella with Foreign Links Around the Globe. Welcome to our video series. Our second one today is going to be about the Chinese culture and their family life there. Today we have with us our partner in China, Mr. Teck, and he's going to share with us a little more about what it's like to be a student living in China and what their family life is like. So, Mr. Lau, can you tell us a little bit about how long you've lived in China? I know that you're from Malaysia.
Yes.
But how is it to live in China and with family life and things? Tell us a little about the daily life of a student there.
Okay. Usually most of the Chinese students, they are very busy. They wake up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. They have to be at school at 7 o'clock. And they study. The study hour for the school, will run for whole day. Some of our students, they don't go back to their house till 10 o'clock at night, and they have to go to school for 6 or 7 days a week. So usually this is their schedule in the school.
And this is like, so naturally in the home, this is what everyone does.
Yes.
So this is normal.
This is normal.
So typically in a home, is it just the mother and father that live there? Or we have heard in America that also many times grandparents live there. What is the family life like? Do they have brothers and sisters?
Okay. Most of the students, they only have one child. They live in a one-child family, But I know majority of our students, they live with the grandparent all together. So sometimes you end up having a big family in the house. But the biggest problem, is they don't have any little kid in the house. So most of our students, or maybe the Chinese students, they are very lonely in the house. So this is what I know from them. Okay.
And when a child is by themselves, it naturally, when you have one child,
Okay.
then the attention of the parent is on the one child.
Yes.
So I would assume that the child probably does not learn a lot of independent things like cooking for themselves. Is that normal? Is that natural? I know we've had some students that can cook and do these things. Most, though, cannot because someone's doing it for them.
Yes.
Is that normal? Is that the natural way to raise a child there? Let them study and then we'll take care of everything else?
This is very normal in China, which is very common. All the students, they wake up, they don't have to do their bed, whatever, before they go to school, Even after they come home. Like what we have, most of our students, they have some problem, or maybe some of the students, they have problem like if an American mother, asks them to go to dinner or come down, for the dinner, they don't want to go. They want to stay in the room. This is what the lifestyle in China. Because the mom, would take the dinner to the room and ask the student, ask the kid, to have the dinner inside the room. So it's very different.
Because now in the room in China too, you can correct me, but from things I've seen, they set it up almost like an apartment. Their computers in their room, their books are in their room, and they're socializing with their friends done on the computer in their room. And so actually the Chinese parents are quite satisfied with the child in their room studying. That's like a good student or a good child. Is that correct?
Yeah, part of it is correct, but the other view, from the other view, the reason the parent is satisfied for this, is because most of the students, they just don't have the time to do the outdoor activity. So the parent, will only allow them, to maybe to release the pressure or maybe have the social life, in the internet.
Yes.
This is what they do. Because the kid, just doesn't have the time to go out to play, or maybe to do the shopping or whatever, even the sport events,
Yes.
So this is the only way they can have a little entertainment, in their life.
Yeah.
So that's why, we see a lot of Chinese students love to play in the computer, spend the time in the computer.
Because that's the way it's done there.
Yes.
Now, with one child, I understand that they put everything into the child as far as their financial resources, their time, because really socially the child needs to have an education to be successful. Is it correct that when the parents become older, then it's in their culture then the child's responsibility to care for their parents?
Yes.
So if the child is not successful, that can cause great anxiety.
Yes.
Yes.
Disaster for the family.
Yes.
So that's why Chinese parents, willing to, send a kid to all over the world. Just try to maybe have a better life, when they're old.
Yes,
They
better
want their kid to-
opportunity.
Yes, this is what they think.
That's really interesting. Now, with the grandparents living with the child, mother and father in a Chinese home typically both work, is that correct?
Yes.
And we've heard where many work for very long hours, and the child sometimes has quite a bit of time alone.
Yes.
This is normal though, for their society, right?
It's very normal. I have kids, they never see their father for even 1 hour a week. Or sometimes, they only see their mother for 3 hours a week. Because the rest of the time, by the time they get home at 10 o'clock, they have to take shower and eat dinner and do the homework again. And they won't go to bed, till 1 o'clock in the morning. This is how they do, So this why, sometimes, I heard American families say, hey, how come Chinese students, think this way, they study so hard, but please understand them, because they've been used to this kind of style before.
That's all they know.
Yes.
So it does take time for them
Yes,
to
it
understand
takes
the
time.
American style.
Yes.
Not that Americans are expected to be Chinese parents, because that's one of the very reasons that they send them here, is to learn a new way.
Yes.
But it does take time.
Yeah.
Would there be any other things that you would like to tell us about the family life? What do they do about the food and meals,
Okay.
things like this? Maybe you could share a little about that.
As far as a meal, I think for the new student now, I don't think they have any problem at all at the moment, after they come to U.S. I don't hear this kind of story too much anymore. But back in few years ago, they have problem. They're not used to the food in the U.S. or kind of thing like that. But the girl might have some problem.
The girls, because they
Yes.
do eat differently, don't they?
They eat differently, but the main problem is in the temperature of the food.
Oh.
You know why? Because American, they don't eat hot meal all the time, especially the breakfast
Yes.
or maybe during dinner, In China, they eat hot meal 3 times a day. So sometimes, we have students, they're not happy living in the house, maybe they're not used to the lifestyle here. But I think, the main problem is because of the temperature of the food.
Just not used to that. Well,
Yes.
that's very interesting. So, for a child, a typical morning, what would they eat for breakfast in their
Okay,
home?
in China, they eat maybe noodles or maybe fried rice, but anything hot, involved with a hot thing, like hot meal or whatever.
Okay, and then they'll eat at school, again at lunch,
Yes.
and then they'll come home late in the evening and
Yes.
eat a dinner at home.
They will eat a light meal between the 5 and 6 o'clock, and then after that, after 10, after they come home, to eat another meal again.
Okay. Well, we know that Chinese families are very close and their children are precious to them.
Yes.
And I think as Americans we can understand that a Chinese family has usually one child, and so they cherish that child very much. So thank you, Mr. Lau, for
You're
sharing with us
welcome.
a little more about the Chinese family culture.
Thank you. 10 minutes, 10, 12.
I can't get it to go off. We'll have to edit that. It won't go off.